Hello everyone, it's Juan here. In this video I'm gonna show you a new way to install TornadoVM on Windows systems using Microsoft Studio tools. This is thanks to an external contributor to the project. His name is Jürgen Schuck. I hope that's the right pronunciation. Jürgen, if you are watching this, you rock. And in my view, this is a way better mechanism to install Tornado on Windows. Why? Because at least two things. First of all, if you're a Windows developer, quite likely, it doesn't have to be, but quite likely, you already use Windows Microsoft Studio. And the fact that Tornado can be installed and configured using those tools, it simplifies quite a lot the installation process. The second reason is that now the installer will look very similar to the installer for Linux and Mac. So it's kind of now homogeneous installation process for all OSs. So in this video, I will give you an update about the process for Windows and the new tools to compile Tornado. So let's jump into it. So to install TornadoVM, we need a few dependencies. We need Python 3. Obviously, we need Microsoft Visual Studio. In my case, I'm using the Community Edition, and that should be enough. And we also need a compatible driver and the toolkit associated with the driver. So I'm not going to expand on the first two, Python 3 and Microsoft Studio, that's easy to get, but I'm going to say a few words about the toolkit and the drivers. So let's say you have an NVIDIA GPU. What do you need? You need two things. You need, first of all, the GPU driver, the NVIDIA GPU driver, and the second thing is the CUDA toolkit. So both of them, you can get both of them from the NVIDIA website. From the NVIDIA driver, I'm going to put a link down below. You just select your GPU card and you just download the driver. And then for the toolkit, I'm gonna also put a link down below. You just select your OS version and run it. And with that, you can access both OpenCL and PTX, CUDA PTX, backends from the TornadoVM project, from the TornadoVM execution platform. Now, if you have an Intel system, you can get it through the Intel driver. Let's say you have an Arc GPU, Intel Arc GPU, so you need to download the Arc driver. And I'm gonna put a link down below as well, it's this website. You can also run on Intel CPUs. In that case, you can get it through Intel One API. And I have a video recently explaining how to get there, so I'm gonna put also a link if you want to explore that. So with that, we can jump to the installation. But before running the installing script for Tornado, we need to double check a few packages from Microsoft Visual Studio builds. We do that by opening the Visual Studio installer. So we run this installer. It will take a few seconds to load. There is an update available. Well, we click Modify. And now it's very easy. What we want to do, apart from the C++ environment that you should already have installed, we want to check a few individual components. So first of all, you go to the section that says compilers, build tools, and runtimes, a bit farther down. Cloud build, it's this one. So in this section, you want to make sure that the spectrum mitigation libraries is selected. In my case, I have it over here. So you click this package and also the corresponding mitigate spectrum library over here. And then the second section, you go to the SDK libraries and frameworks a bit farther down under this section, and you click on spectrum mitigation libraries as well, ATL and spectrum mitigation, and you have it over here. So once you click on that, you just install it and you're done. This gives you access in the case you want to run the SPV library, which is dispatched through the level 0 API. To run the level 0, even standalone level 0, you need to click on these packages. So with that out of the way, let's now jump to the installation process. So I already cloned the repo and open it through the IntelliJ. I'm using IntelliJ as my main IDE. And now what we want to do is to invoke the Microsoft Visual Studio Terminal. Because it has the environment, all the tools, C++, compiler, and make, and so on, but that I need to compile the Tornado project. And Tornado made it easier. There's a script called bin Windows Microsoft Studio Tools, CMD. You just run it, and that gives you access to the environment. It loads the environment for Microsoft Studio Tools. And now we can just run the installer as any installation script provided for Linux and macOS. So we run Python 3, and the installer is in this directory in bin TornadoVM installer. We pass the JDK. Let's select the JDK 21, and the backend. I'm gonna select all of them: OpenCL, SPV, and PTX. I can select all of them because I already have the drivers to run all of them. So you run it, and the first time we'll download all the dependencies required. We'll download the actual OpenJDK that you select. It will download Maven, etc., etc. We'll configure that for you, plus a few Python dependencies that we need. This will take a while, depending on your speed and your processor and your system. It will take something around 1 to 2 minutes to compile. So let's wait until the build process is finished, and then we continue with a few examples. Okay, so moving forward, when the build process finishes, you will see a message like this, right? So everything is built correctly, and you will see the next step is to run this script, set vars. This will load the environment for Tornado. So we'll just run it, set vars.cmd. You will see something like that. And now you can run any TornadoVM command. Let's say TornadoVM does version, for example. You can see the version and the backends installed. Let's check the devices that I can run on my system with Tornado. And we see that we can run with different backends: PV backend, the OpenCL backend, and the PTX, because I installed the 3 of them. And I can even run applications. And I'm gonna show you through an example. This is the Mandelbrot test, or the Mandelbrot example, and it's provided also within the Tornado framework. And you just copy the command provided in the header in the documentation and run it. We're gonna run with the thread info to check what application is executed. And if we run it, we will see Windows pop up with the Mandelbrot fractal. That's cool. Right. One more thing before I conclude the video. Let's say you want to compile Tornado or use Tornado just with one backend. You don't have to go through the installer script anymore, because the installation is done with all the dependencies. All you need is to change backend using the nmake command. So let's say previously I compiled with all backends, SPV, OpenCL, and PTX. And now let's say I only want the OpenCL backend to use, right? So we compile with nmake. We pass the option F, and there's a makefile just for Windows system. And we pass the JDK that we are running. So it's JDK 21, and the backend that we are interested in, which is backend equal OpenCL, for example. And if I run it, this will recompile the project only for the OpenCL backend. Again, this will take 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum to recompile the whole project. And now you can rerun your applications with a different backend. So this is just if you're going to add or remove backends from your main installation. Otherwise, you just don't touch this. So with that, I conclude the video. This hopefully gives you all the tools and all the information and guidelines you need to configure and run Tornado within Windows using the existing tools in Microsoft Studio tools. And with that, you can start coding Tornado in your Windows system. So I conclude the video here. Happy coding, and see you soon.